Welcome to the Pitching to Content Biographies with James Wilkerson. I'm your host, and today I will be interviewing Clover Hill's fearless leader, our varsity baseball head coach, Brett Mooney. Brett is in his 8th year here at Clover Hill. All those as a PE coach.
PE coach, yeah.
Baseball coach, 7th year as the varsity head coach.
That's right.
Previously, he spent 3 years at Longwood under Buddy Bolin,
Man.
one of the legends in college baseball.
Mythical.
I heard his book is even legendary.
Oh God, I got to bring that book for you, man.
Yeah, that's.
It's called The Top Half. I mean, how much more Mooney can you get?
It's called The Top Half.
His book is called The Top Half. I have a chapter in said book.
That's amazing.
I'm shocked.
I think we might need a reading of the Mooney chapter.
I can't do that, man. That's too much. I'll let you do it. I'm not going to do it.
I think it might be good. But also, before he was even at Longwood, spent 4 years as the JV head coach at Salem High School in Virginia Beach. Yep, where you played.
Where I played for
down in BB, and that's why we have our great trips and friendship dinners with Ocean Lakes now.
Partnership. It's been a good relationship, man. We've eaten some good meals with them.
Oh yeah, decent scrimmages, better meals.
Mm-hmm. And we've really challenged our parents to step up their game on both sides of the fence.
Absolutely.
And it's produced a very solid parent culture.
Yeah, well, I really enjoyed last year's where we had the 3-way going.
Oh man,
that was pretty clutch.
Jeez, man, it was cool. I mean, we get to do some cool stuff, man. It's Coach Zell's a great dude, and I'll talk more about him later. But man, what a great guy to play for, and a great guy to be able to still play against.
Absolutely. Well, and I like to say that we were the springboard for their near state title run last year.
I'll tell you what, he was hitting me up. We talked for hours, scouting reports going into that game. Yeah. I mean, I must have talked to him for I almost had him call you, Coach. You saw it. I was like, hey, let's give him a different perspective. I think my dad called him. I think I almost had O'Hare talk to him. I mean, he wanted every single detail that you could get.
Well, absolutely. That's how you make state title runs. Every detail, trying to get that advanced scouting on the teams in Richmond.
He got it from us. That dude was good.
Yeah, man. So we've already done mine, but I really would like to hear your first memory of baseball and kind of get this biographical interview going.
Yeah, baseball for me was always there. It's easy for me because I had an older brother. He was 5 years older than me. So when he was getting into baseball, I didn't have a choice. My dad was coaching him, so I just tag along, and I just took to it because I think every younger brother who has an older brother, especially significantly older, 5 years older, you're going to get a little bit of a head start over everybody else because you're not playing against kids your age. You're playing with older kids.
Yeah.
And my longest memory goes all the way back to when he was playing for his Little League or whatever association team we were playing with, and my dad was coaching. I go to all the practices.
Yeah.
I was swinging their size bats. I don't want that little baby bat. Give me the real size bat. They let me take BP during practice, and I was dropping bombs. And everybody always like, oh my God, this kid's gonna be so good one day. They were pumping me up pretty good for a little guy. So I just remember being out there, and I still remember these days some of the kids that were on that team. I was like 3-4 years old. I still remember this. So that's how much of an impact baseball had on me growing up. Is it was what I remembered.
And your older brother, you said, was like 5 years old.
5 years old, yeah.
Did you have another brother in between?
I had a younger brother. He kind of came up underneath. He was a little bit slower to attach himself to the game of baseball, but it was part of our family culture, and there was no getting away from baseball in our family. It was the sport. We didn't play any other sports but baseball.
Absolutely.
We did football a little bit later on in life, but it was baseball growing up.
Yeah. So from there, kind of, where did baseball take you from there?
I got into playing, t-ball early just because I showed that I could do it with my brother's team. I could handle playing up a year earlier than everybody else. And you don't want to sit here and pat yourself on the back too hard, but I was the best player on my team in t-ball. I was a pitcher. I turned double plays by myself, unassisted.
Oh yeah.
Double plays and dropping bombs.
You were the kid stealing the ball from other kids to throw it. You were the only one that could throw it across the infield.
I played first base because I was the one who could catch.
Yeah.
So I was like, it was from a very early age. It was just my thing. I mean, I identified as a baseball player my whole life. I mean, there was nothing else that people. Hey, there's Mooney. He's the baseball guy. all the way through life.
Yeah.
I mean, and going from there, So, like everybody else, played my growing up, went from coach pitch from there. It was pretty good there too.
Yeah.
Played my little league in San Antonio, Texas. Little known fact there, little fun fact. San Antonio, Texas, till I was about 10 years old. When I left San Antonio, my dad got a job over here in Virginia Beach. He sold jewelry to the military. So that's what got us to Virginia Beach is we followed the military over the naval shipyard or the Navy station out there in Norfolk. And so that's when I started playing some association baseball there with some memorable people. I just remember some of my coaches and how the first one that comes to mind is Ron Barber. He was my kind of growing up the first coach where I really clinged to here in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
He had a really good thing going. We won a city championship, no big deal. No big deal. And with the Woodstock Pirates.
Oh, got to represent.
Yeah, represent Woodstock. But then we after that association, I aged out of that. I was like, okay, what do I do next? Do I go to Green Run Little League and play Little League and do all that?
And age out. What age was that?
Well, it was almost like a neighborhood association city league. So you aged out of the playing within that group. You would actually have to go.
Was that like 9 or 10 or?
That really it was right before we left Woodstock to go play Bronco baseball. So Bronco baseball
11 or 12.
Yeah, so it was before that. So
okay.
It was almost I know the area too well how y'all do it around here, but it was like the younger group.
Yeah.
I could have played Pinto and all that stuff too. Mustang, but we didn't know about pony baseball until after we got done at Woodstock. It was just kind of like a neighborhood type deal.
Oh, gotcha.
So when we eventually made the decision, we decided not to go with Little League, which I thank my parents to this day for not putting me in Little League. Sounds crazy to say that, but I was so glad they put me in pony baseball.
Yeah.
We started the Bronco level, and then the Bronco level we were leading off. Picking off. I mean, it was real baseball. The only difference was the distance of the bases, and even then. The bases were longer than Little League baseball. I think when I first started Bronco, I think we were 70-foot bases.
Yeah.
And I think in Little League they were 60.
Yeah, it's 50, 70, and 46, 60
Yeah.
with no leads. So, and this is the other thing, because probably different from me and you, is I played Little League where it was 46, 60, 11, and 12, but I played travel, so I had the other part of it that was 50, 70.
Yep.
Growing up, did you play travel baseball?
Not a single game, Coach. Not a single game. Now, I'm not going to lie. When I got to about, after I did my pony baseball, made a couple, we had all-star teams.
Yeah.
You didn't really have, travel baseball was very small. In fact, it wasn't USSSA. It was only one thing. It was AAU. That's all we had was AAU. There was nothing else travel baseball out there.
And I remember that early in my travel baseball career.
You had so many teams in just the state. Regionally, you only had so many teams. When they had a national tournament, it was a national tournament. Every team sent, there was a state qualifier where every team or every state sent 2 teams. So you had to qualify to go to the national tournament. And I think back to the days when I was able to. I was playing pony baseball. It's pretty good. I'm not going to sit here and say I was not good. I was good. I would say size-wise, I was very average on the size, but I've always had strong hands. I was always able to hit the ball a little bit harder than the next step for my size. Fast little, I almost cussed, but fast little dude, and I could run pretty good. I was a middle infield kind of guy, catcher a little bit, but the travel ball piece that I wanted to so bad. In fact, I'm gonna name drop a little bit here. David Wright, he played for the Virginia Blasters. And David Wright and I were pretty good friends growing up. He lived around the corner from me. In the same neighborhood. So, we played baseball together growing up, and he was really, peer pressure. He's like, hey, come try for our team. Come play with the Blasters, man. And my parents, we just didn't have the money. We didn't have the resources to do that. And there were other organizations, the Tidewater Drillers, which are still in existence to this day. They were one of the original travel ball teams out there. And I had friends on that team that we wanted to play. In fact, when I got to about middle school, I played with David Wright in middle school. I played with a bunch of Blasters, a bunch of drills on my middle school team.
And that was in Virginia Beach. Y'all actually had middle school teams. Middle
school baseball, yes, which was pretty cool because I remember, I was a middle infield guy, catcher. Through pony baseball, I get to middle school, and I'm like, oh crap, what am I going to do? I want to make this team as a 7th grader. I just want to make the team. So I started playing outfield. I was a fast little dude. So I was like, I made that team. I was like, damn, I was playing next to Brandon Holyfield, Randy Jernigan, David Wright. I'm talking to some guys that were pretty good ball players,
Whoa.
And, I played next to guys that were just a lot bigger than me.
Yeah, well, and the 757, area is kind of known as kind of a baseball hotbed and has been for, quite a long time.
Yeah, and really, you had so many different teams in the middle school world. And you got to see all the guys that were eventually going to play high school baseball in middle school, which is cool. Because some of the surrounding counties that we have actually do that, like in Powhatan. They get a good look at what they have coming up.
Absolutely.
And it was a really good fear system. Now, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I love Coach Wirtz to death, but he wasn't the baseball guy.
Yeah,
he was a little bodybuilder dude. He was about 5'4". But stacked up.
So that's where the bodybuilding passion started for.
No, not at all.
Okay.
In fact, he was just a really nice. He was a good guy. I mean, he did his best. I had Coach Tarkington. That name should sound a little bit familiar in the football world, at least. I think it was his cousin was Fran Tarkington.
Oh, Fran Tarkington.
Yeah,
okay.
So he had a little bit of relation to him. So he was an athlete. You could tell he was a smart dude too. He was like he was a science teacher. He was a smart dude, but young guy then. But that was middle school baseball, and really for us, it was just cool being able to play.
Yeah. So then that kind of takes us into high school baseball, which again, yes, the coaches probably actually got to see y'all play a little bit in middle school, maybe.
Most of the time, not really.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to high school as a ninth grader, which I think is a little bit different than here.
There was no eighth grade baseball.
And you're trying out for a whole new team, and there's just a whole nother anxiety that goes into trying out with a new group, and it sounds like middle school split off, and you're trying out with a whole different group.
Well,
of
yeah,
people and stuff
you split
too.
off. I had kids from my middle school team go to play at Kellum.
Yeah.
I had kids from my middle school team come over to Salem. But I was on the small side. I was kind of like Manchester Middle. Not many kids come over here from Manchester Middle. But a few did, and I was one of the few who actually did break off to come over this way. In fact, David Wright was one of the few that were supposed to come over with me. But turns out that summer, guess where he moved to?
Moved into Hickory, didn't he?
Moved to Chesapeake. His dad got a promotion in the police department. He moved over to Hickory. So I was like,
and played for that baseball powerhouse.
And then just took it and ran with
perennial
it.
state.
But honestly,
competitors.
it had nothing to do with Hickory being Hickory. He went over there because his dad got a job in Chesapeake.
Yeah.
And they were making a little bit more money, and they could get out of the neighborhood. And it was good for them.
Yeah.
He still came to all the Salem High School camps and was a mainstay at Salem High School. In fact, Coach Zell, Coach DiMartini, they still stay in contact with him because they coached him growing up.
Awesome.
So it was pretty neat there. But honestly, moving out of middle school into high school, I didn't play my freshman year. That eighth grade summer, I was playing in All Stars.
Yeah.
We were Pony baseball at that time. Was it Colt? I think it was Pony. One of the two. I can't remember what age group.
Pony would be eighth grade summer.
Yeah, it was eighth grade summer going into ninth grade.
So that would be pony ball.
I was playing All Stars. I made the All Star team. I was playing second base. Cruising through it. Having a good time playing baseball. Just like I always did. It was pretty good player. But I was out, and I don't know why. I wish I had a little bit better coaching then because I was out for a cutoff from right field to throw to third base. I guess I don't know. Maybe I had a better arm than the short. I don't know. But for some reason, they told me to go out for the cutoff, so I did.
Yeah.
I went out for the cutoff, and I went to go throw a baseball, on the cutoff from right field to third base, and I was shallow right, and I let her loose, and I pulled the growth plate off my elbow. Now it had been hurting me for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I was a tough little kid. I was going to let that hold me down, and it ended up being a growth plate. I pulled it completely off, so it had fractured already, and I played through it. On my own accord. Nobody told me to do it. I just did it because I was like, this is all-star time. This is game time. Let's go.
Yeah.
So you were taking me out of the game. So it pulled my growth plate. I had to have surgery. I was out for the rest of that all-star season. And then I also, going into that freshman year, I sat out that freshman year too because I lost every bit of confidence that I had.
Yeah, well, and I'll be honest with you. You're the oldest human being that I know that has had a growth plate issue. And I guess, more, going back on it, like how much baseball did you play?
Well, not much. That's the crazy thing. I was 14.
And you said you just played rec ball and high school ball.
Yeah, we played twice a week and then a little bit of all-stars.
Yeah, middle school ball.
Yeah, so I actually like I said, I was pitching a little bit, which really wasn't my forte, but I could throw a little bit. And I was just throwing my curveball wrong. I was throwing that typical, full arm curveball, and yeah,
the doorknob,
the doorknob curveball, and I didn't know
Lord.
what I was doing. Nobody taught me. I just knew I needed to throw something off speed, and that's what I threw. And I had to change up too, but my curveball, it wasn't bad for a doorknob curveball. It was actually decent.
Well, I mean,
But that's what did it. I remember that. I remember it sounds that weird now thinking I'm 37 years old, thinking back to when I was 14. I remember the outing. I was at Kensal Pony Baseball. I was on the pony field. I remember the outing. I was out there. I was like, that didn't feel very good.
Well, you were probably really throwing like slider motion.
Yes, and that's
like a 12 and 13-year-old.
That's all I really had, but it had a little bit of a little depth.
Oh yeah. And well, because you didn't throw hard enough to throw a slider.
Exactly. So but that I just remember the bad pitching mechanics is what caused mine, and I just kept on pushing through. I was like, here we are at the end of the season. I made All-Stars. I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
My brother had just had that a couple weeks before. My parents thought I was copying him, trying to get attention. That's not my style. That's not what I was doing. But he had tennis elbow. They shut him down for a few weeks, and he actually got a better experience in baseball than I did growing up because he was pretty good. When I told you about the setup that AAU had, the state qualifier and national tournament, my brother was one of the best 11, 12-year-old baseball players in the country. I say that like there's no other way around it because that was the most elite baseball you could play.
Yeah.
Their team won state championships. He was on all tournament teams in that. He hit home run after home. My dining room was littered with baseballs from all his home runs he hit in travel ball. Yeah. When he went to national tournaments, they won a national tournament. I think there were 12, the 12U national tournament for AAU, and that's before USSSA. There was nothing. They won the national tournament, and he was on that all-tournament team. Big piece of the puzzle why they won. So when he was 12, he was good. So I got surgery. He got to play travel ball, and I ended up being the one who kind of took on baseball as I moved forward. So I mean, going into high school, when I was my freshman year, I didn't really have the confidence to go out there and play. I played one more year. I think it was Colt that first year, and that spring, I wasn't playing baseball. I was in the marching band because I was beat up. I was like, I can't do it. I'm not good enough. I can't do it. I can't throw. And
so was it? So was it one of those things like you were healthy enough to start throwing and just didn't?
Yeah, well, once they screwed my growth plate back in, it was good. But I lived with that fear of doing it again, even though it was screwed in. Like I was like, man, I can't. That was horrible pain. The surgery itself sucked.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was an experience that I didn't want to have again. So I thought I was probably going to be done. And baseball was my identity at this point too. Like it was who I was. Going through middle school, I wore. Okay, I'm going to call myself out a little bit. I wore baseball turf shoes at school.
Did you wear those to your band recitals?
Yes. I was still baseball, but I wasn't playing anymore. So, what ended up happening was I took off that freshman year and I played Colt, and I had a great coach, Coach Tenhove. He passed away not about a decade ago, but he really got me back and built me. He was one of those coaches that really made that impact on you. He was the guy that gave me my confidence back.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're good. Just go out there and play. And I ended up, it's funny when you get something taken away from you, and you really want it back. I was given something with that injury that most people don't have, and it kind of really set a fire into my butt. And I became overnight from a good baseball player to a phenomenal baseball player overnight. Didn't even realize it. It was kind of like subconscious. Yeah. Once I got the subconscious right, then the skills took over.
Was there ever a moment, whether it was when you were playing Colt with what was the coach name?
Tenhove.
Tenhove.
Yeah.
When you were playing with Tenhove, or if you even once you were back into the high school game or whatever, that kind of that moment, maybe a game ahead or, something that you were like, wow, like I'm back. I feel
I think that real moment was when, that season was the pick me up for me, that Colt season. Well, when we got in my sophomore year, we started doing baseball conditioning in the fall. I'm like, okay, I'm back. Let me get out here and play a little bit. I'd taken up catching. I caught all Colt season. I just had a fun time. I love catching. For me, being a part of the game, calling a game, blocking, looking the part, I loved getting dirt. I was that guy. I just loved it. Let me be the catcher. And I embraced it. So I go into my sophomore year saying, I'm going to go catch. I'll try for JV. Just get out there and play some baseball, And, went to the tryout, not the trials, but the conditioning. We were running 60-yard dashes in the fall. It must have been October or something like that. We're on the track, and, they're just getting our times, kind of getting their brain wrapped around who's coming out, kind of like we'd done in the past. And they were like, watch wrong? I was like, what? Run it again. Okay. So I go up there, I run it again. We're looking at sub-7s as a sophomore kid who just showed up. I just showed up. I just showed up. They didn't know who I was.
And just blowing up some 6'8", 6'9".
Where were you your freshman year? I was hurt, coach. Where the hell have you been? I was like, I was running 6'8", 6'9", back to back. And they were like, what the heck? So, I was like, whatever, this is running, it's not playing baseball. So whatever. So they knew who I was. I got put on the radar. So, spring season comes around. And we at Salem High School, you had the varsity field, then you had to walk. I mean, probably a country mile to get to the quote unquote JV field. It was a
mud pit.
No, not even that. It was a city kept field that was really a softball field.
Oh, okay.
So it was what it was. It was not a glamorous place to be, but we were having fun. We were playing baseball. I had all my friends that were my age there. We were okay. We're playing baseball again. It's good. So I had a blast. I was fit right in. I was definitely gonna play JV. I was like, I'm the catcher. Yeah, this will be fun. Well, on the Friday of tryouts, they did a 5-day tryout. They called the sophomores who made the JV team to come up with varsity. And I was like, okay, well, I'll give it a shot. Whatever. I'm not going to turn that opportunity down.
Absolutely.
And at the time, I had no clue. I could play a little bit. I had no clue. I was like, okay, I'm I'm an average dude as far as I know.
Yeah.
Well, I get out there game one. We were doing inter squads. And I got my bat. They had BJ Herbert was our pitcher. Yeah. I think I talked about him in another podcast, but he was an impressive looking dude, big black guy. Shoved it a little bit, for our level, 84, 85. And for us, that was big time. And, I got up there my first at bat. I can't make this up, coach. It was right out of the storybooks. This big, intimidating guy, I didn't give a shit. I was like, I'm going at him, man.
Yeah.
And I took a mammo hack. He's challenged little softball fastballs. I'm like, don't throw me an 84-mile-an-hour fastball, man.
Absolutely.
And I had that mentality then, too. I hit a line drive ball that probably only got like 30 feet over the shortstop's head. Cleared the left center fence, ended up in the creek beyond the left center fence, and I was a sophomore. I didn't even know I could do that. That was the aha moment you were talking about, coach. I was like, oh, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
All right, so it wasn't. I was like, maybe I hope that wasn't.
It was probably the best feeling to have ever come off of that.
I think it happened so fast and it happened so unexpectedly that I didn't realize it happened. So I was like, okay, well, just run around the bases. That's what you're supposed to do. So I did. Well, I got another bat, thank God, because I was like, okay, let me show these guys it's not a fluke. That was my mentality. Let me go do this again. Hey, I think I was facing a different pitcher this time. I was facing Matt Simmons. He was our submarine guy, and I own submarine guys. I don't know why. I just see the ball better from that angle. Yeah. And sure enough, I didn't get all of it this time, but I got enough of it. I didn't get enough air underneath it, and I put it right off the wall, stand-up double, and everybody's just like, hell is this guy? Who's this guy? I'm gonna say like, who's this guy? What's going on here? Like I didn't know what happened. And
so were you hitting bombs like that like the summer before?
No, like I said, it clicked. I started believing in myself.
Yeah.
It sounds so cliche and so dumb. Like, oh, that sounds so stupid. But I actually started believing. It's like I opened my eyes. Like it's like almost like in the Matrix when I realized that I'm Neo. These kids aren't going to understand.
Well, had you hit any growth spurt or anything like
Nothing.
that?
I was 155 pounds soaking wet, 5'9", skinny dude. Nothing to me. I mean, but I had strong, fast hands, and I'd never been challenged to go out there at that level and do it. And I just said, if I was going to be there, I was going to compete.
Yeah.
So long story longer. I go out there and we do another scrimmage, and I have the same success. So that these guys are like, what the hell are we going to do with this kid? He's not a catcher. We have a senior catcher, a sophomore guy who's just learning how to catch. You can't throw him back there in the varsity level. Let's put him in the outfield. Okay, so I started working the outfield. Never played outfield much.
Yeah.
I could do it, but played enough.
Well, you were also a 6'8", 6'9" guy too.
And they're like, why are you going to put that guy behind the dish? So I was like, well, let me run around. I was not a very good outfielder. I don't know why. I couldn't see.
Yeah.
Couldn't see. I didn't get glasses and contacts until that year when I realized I couldn't see.
Yeah.
But that was a challenge I had to overcome, was being able to see, and I got better. But I spent some time DHing as a sophomore, and really, man, I looked at these guys. They dwarfed me. I was tiny compared to them. And I go back to my first at bat. We were playing Tallwood High School on the road. Mm-hmm. My first varsity game ever. I'm like, oh man, this is ridiculous. What am I even doing here? First ball I see, coach. I'm batting the 7th hole. fastball hole, man. I loved hitting the 7 hole because I love hitting fastballs.
Yeah.
First guy, he's going to challenge me. The guy's now, I remember his last name. His name is Patrick. I remember his name. Little Filipino-looking dude. And he challenged me with the fastball. And, Coach, the first bet, I absolutely tattooed it. I'm talking like I squared it up more than I've ever squared another ball. I hit it straight to left field. Unfortunately, wind was howling, probably blowing 50 straight in from left. One of those February, late February, early March winter days.
Down at the beach,
down
too.
At the beach,
so
too, yeah. So it was howling straight. It got caught up in the wind, and it ended up blowing back. I mean, literally blowing back. I was on my horse looking out a triple on a ball that probably was a no-doubter.
Yeah.
And it was kind of embarrassing thinking back on it because it ended up hanging up to the point where the guy caught it near the warning track. And I was hauling ass to make it a double, and it was a can of corn. Yeah. Once it got blown back. And I think back like, I didn't even know that when you hit a ball that good, you're not supposed to run that fast.
Yeah. Well, I mean.
And I didn't know any better. But that was the beginning of a 20 at-bat slump. Coming out of the gates as a sophomore.
And so over 20 to start your varsity career, which, and
Coach, it was never 20.
Did they ever take you out of the lineup within that?
Not
so
once.
So it was straight up 5 games.
It was 5 games of not getting anything out. Dude,
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm not sitting here patting. I was tattooing the ball. I was hitting it right at people.
Yeah.
It was one of those stretches like, I can't believe this isn't happening for me. How am I? I was getting fastballs galore in the 7 hole. I was eating fastballs for dinner, and I was hitting it right at everybody. I just couldn't get on base. And you had guys that were seniors, guys that had been in the program a lot longer than me, that were pissed off that they weren't getting those at bats, and it started getting a little bit hairy.
Yeah.
And but my coaches had some faith in me. They saw something there, and they saw me as a competitor, and I pushed through some of that, and the hits started coming.
Yeah.
They started coming. I ended up starting to get. I had a couple hits strung together, and next thing you know, I'll go for 0 for 20. I finished that year batting .410 as a sophomore.
Well,
couple jacks, couple big RBIs.
That means that the rest of the season you batted like 600.
The rest of the season I didn't get out much. Like I started hitting, and that's not me bragging or tooting my horn. It was that I started believing in it, and in that belief, I was too naive to know that I wasn't. I could play at that level.
Yeah,
I could do it, and I just went out there and did it. There wasn't much to it for me. I did not understand the game. I did not have a different. I just went out there and did it.
Yeah, so you were a sophomore that batted .410.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any other recognitions that year?
Nothing, because I was a sophomore.
Yeah. Okay. So, but did you played at Longwood? Did the scouts kind of start?
No, there were no such thing as scouts back in my day until your senior year.
Okay.
You did not get recruited early. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. We didn't have much of a travel ball circuit. There was no showcase baseball.
Yeah.
It was word of mouth through your high school coach. They called your high school coach, who do you have? Almost like football kind of does nowadays.
Yeah.
But I played through my junior year. I actually had that, kind of like I told with David Coppage, that sophomore year slump. My sophomore slump was my junior year.
Yeah.
Once again, I was trying to do everything. I was trying to be everything. I was the head captain of my team after coming off as I was the head captain as a junior, trying to do it all, and I put too much pressure on myself, and I'm the kind of guy who could handle it, but I wasn't getting the results. Then my name had got out. They started pitching me tougher. I was batting in the 3 hole.
Yeah.
Things change when you do things like that. So the game beat me up. I ended up batting about 350, 340.
Oh, that's not very bad.
You know what I mean, though. It was you go from batting 410 and
I know.
and hitting on the screws to batting. And that year they put me at third base.
Well, and you had to. I mean, I'm guessing you had to fight like every at bat.
I was not a very in the 3 hole, and I didn't get the pitching. I got in the 7 hole.
Yeah, and I can tell you that was like my experience in high school was like, man, when I batted 5th, it was a lot easier than when I batted 3rd or 4th, just because, it felt like I never got good pitches to swing at.
Yeah.
So and then you played third base.
Well, they put me at third base because we didn't have a third baseman.
Yeah.
And I was just athletic enough. I was horrible. I had the hardest hands of a Mexican you'll ever see. So, but I was athletic enough to body a ball up and throw it across the diamond. I was, there was even a moment where I played a little bit of shortstop when we had a certain guy having to pitch. It was a recipe for disaster with me in the infield, but I got it done. I played infield my whole life. I knew enough.
Yeah.
It was ugly, but I got it done. I'm not saying I made a zillion errors, but I was nothing pretty to look at. I was not where my future was going to be.
Yeah.
So I got through my junior year unscathed for the most part. Had to take the team on my shoulders. Cool experience. Getting to play with my younger brother my senior year. That was pretty cool.
Well, and let me just backtrack. So during the summers, during college or during high school, what did you like? Did you play any baseball, or was it just the 20 games you had in the spring? Like
we played, when I'm trying to think back. We played Colt Palomino baseball.
Yeah,
Colt and Palomino was kind of our extra, baseball during the summer. It wasn't great baseball, but it was baseball.
Yeah.
And really, we didn't do anything organized with our team. That was all we had. We didn't. There was nobody recruiting those games. There's no scouts there.
Yeah, and there was no Legion down in Virginia Beach.
No, they got rid of it at that point. It was on its way out. So we actually did put together some AAU teams on our own that were like our fall teams. So we played little scrimmage style things in the fall. So we got some reps in the fall, but it really wasn't much.
Yeah.
And it was all scrimmages. It was not real games. Umpires were not a thing. You kind of manage your own game. It was just a way to make it legal. We'd have to have a kid from another school. We usually pull some private school kid to be on our team so we make it legal. So you're just bending the rules, trying to make the rules work.
Yeah, and so they weren't even real games.
No, it was just scrimmages. It was a very simple.
You basically only were an AAU team, so you had insurance.
Exactly. Yep. And we were just playing baseball. I mean, there was nothing really too special about it. And then going to my senior year, it was kind of like, wow, I came off 2 pretty strong years, and I was a captain my junior year. So going into my senior year, I was all baseball, and I had made some friends. I got a little more social, so I decided to play volleyball. In the fall, and plus, it was my best friend played volleyball, so I'm like, all right, whatever, we'll do this. And it was actually a blessing in disguise because I had gotten too locked in. You know how I can be a little bit. I got too locked in baseball. So for me to play a little bit of volleyball, it drove me crazy having the split time with baseball, but it kept me grounded. It kept me, let me have a little bit of a life.
Were you good at volleyball?
I thought I was, but I was an outside hitter who was 5'9". When everybody else is probably closer to 6 feet.
And an outside hitter is somebody that spikes it.
Mm-hmm. And I was more of I hit the ball really, really hard kind of guy.
Yeah.
Didn't really always know where it was going. I had no skill to it. I hated not being an everyday guy. That was a humbling experience, going from being a frontline guy in another sport to being a sometimes guy at the varsity on volleyball.
Yeah.
So, that was fun. I enjoyed it. It was a good experience, but I was a baseball guy.
So at this point, you're in September. Volleyball. We're talking September, October, November of your senior year. Mm-hmm. Had you heard from any colleges at that point?
In November, I went with my high school coach. This is how it worked back then. It was pretty cool how it worked. Pete Zell drove me to Longwood back when they were in Division II. You could do a tryout on their field with their coach. And he drove me. It was probably
the predecessor to the prospect camp.
Exactly. So
you probably didn't have to pay for this either.
No, free $99.
Yeah, they figured out how to
free.
make money off of those.
Now the thing about it is November can be cold. This was the coldest November day I've ever been experienced to. It was so freaking cold, and I'm sitting there. I'm not a cold-blooded person. I hate the cold.
Yeah.
I won't say that too loud in front of people when we're out there, but I hate the cold. And Buddy took me out there on the field, and he wore my butt out. He wore my butt out. He had another outfielder from some other, who knows where he was from, some rich kid. Put me in left center, put him in right center, and he proceeded to bang baseball after baseball after baseball, back to back to back to back to back, and then he spin around, hit it from the other side plate, back to back to back to back.
Because he has the legendary switch fungo.
Oh, he was a switch. He was a masterful fungo hitter from both sides of the plate. And the thing about it is that usually in the outfield you do a quick sprint, catch a ball, chuck it aside. Well, he was hitting balls we had to dive for. He was seeing our range before we could even get back to our position. The other ball's in the air. I remember I was diving after cans of corn at the end, and he was doing a gut check. He was trying to see what this guy's made of. Mm-hmm. So, he saw something he liked, and it actually ended up working out all right for me for a little bit.
Yeah. Did you have any other offers, any other schools that?
Yeah. Later on, I mean, really, I wanted to go back a little bit. We talked about this previous about my experience, where I knew I was going to be I wanted to play college baseball. In the fall of my season, was it fall? When did we go to it? It was my junior summer going into that. Going into the senior season, we went to a team camp in Auburn.
Okay.
And that was where I got the first taste of college baseball, and it was a good taste. It tasted good.
Well, I mean that's you're starting at the very top. That's SEC, man. And I mean that's Auburn. And what year did?
Oh, that was 2000.
Yeah, so that was late 90s. I think they had a few Omaha trips in the 90s.
Yeah. And I just remember we stayed in the dorms.
Frank Thomas had just been there.
Yeah. We stayed in the dorms. We did their team camp. We did it as a team, which was really cool to do with the guys we were playing with. Now we weren't very good, so
which I mean is not really a common thing for baseball anymore. I mean basketball still does it.
Yeah, and it was just a really good experience. I think seeing, like, wow, walking through their tunnel into their dugout, looking at the green monster in left at 350 feet left field fence with the green monster. I'm like, wow, this place is like a cathedral.
Yeah.
It just blew me away. And, getting to work with their coaches and getting to work with their staff and them giving us the time that they gave us, I was able to showcase a little bit. That was my opportunity to showcase, was at that camp that we drove all the way down to Auburn, Alabama in 2 school vans.
And that was your high school put that on.
High school put it on.
And just the coaches took y'all.
It was me. Well, it was Coach Zell in a van. It was Coach DiMartini in a van. And we got down there following each other down.
With no parents.
No parents.
Yeah,
we stayed in the dorms. It was a really cool experience. I mean, you never get away with that these days, but it was cool.
That's awesome.
So I got the bug, and I mean, the Auburn coaches were kind of filling me. Hey, if you were a couple inches taller, a couple 10 pounds heavier, or 20 pounds heavier, you probably have a chance to play at this level. And they were sincere about it. They took me aside. They worked with me individually and said, hey, pull me away from the team. Did some stuff with me. I was like, you put me through a mini workout.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. And getting that attention, I was like, I could do this. So that's when it kind of what led me to say, I'm going to do this. So that's what kind of pushed me to go try out for this Longwood team. So when I went, got back from Longwood, I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this. I can do this.
Absolutely.
And Buddy, lost my number. Didn't hear from him after the tryout. I knew I had a good tryout. We were hitting those little dimple balls.
Oh, really?
I was parking those bad boys, 375 up on his hill.
Put them out there on Main Street.
Yeah, now not that, but I was getting, dimple balls are tough to get out of the ballpark.
Oh yeah,
and I was putting them out there pretty good, and little guy, so I knew he liked me. He gave me nothing but positive feedback. In that fact, he butchered the other guy. He's like, I don't waste my time with him. You actually can play a little bit of baseball, coach. Oh, he calls me coach now, so it's when I talk like him. Brett, you can actually play a little baseball. You got a chance, son. And he gave me a lot of positive feedback. I don't hear from the guy. He doesn't call me back. He lost my number. So here I am going into my senior year. Head captain again, I want to play college baseball. I got I went to a couple camps, like I went to William Mary camp.
Yep.
Got seen there. ODU had been kind of following me because they were local, so they kind of knew who I was. Coach Zell played for ODU, so they knew who I was. And, so I got a couple looks just playing high school baseball.
Yeah.
And I went to a camp at William Mary, showcased really well at their camp.
Nice.
I was a backside hitter, coach.
Yeah.
It was right when it started getting popular, letting the ball travel, banging it the other way, and just doing that in BP.
Oh, yeah.
I've mastered that skill of line drives over the second baseman set. I had that. But I also had a little bit of, the Brett Mooney swing where I was like, okay, F this. Spin jack time.
Yeah, late 90s into the 2000s.
Oh, man, it was popular.
Hitting the ball the other way was like...
God, it was the bee's knees.
Well, yeah. It was the whole like Wade Boggs, like Tony Gwynn thing, and the hitting coaches just soaked it up.
It was the first time you ever heard the words "let the ball travel, stay inside the ball."
Yeah.
And before it was cliche. It was like they had to explain to us what this meant. This was new. It was new, but it wasn't new. It's something that was taught a different way. But that's when those words, catchphrases started coming out. Yeah. So I was pretty good at that. I caught some attention because of my foot speed. I ran a 6.60 at the William Mary camp.
So that's fast.
No, I'm not gonna lie. I was on turf. It was pretty fun running on turf. You feel fast when you run on turf.
Yeah.
And I was running against the fastest guy in camp, and I beat him.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, hey, F you. I beat you. And William Mary loved me. I was trying to think. Coach Farr, Coach Wheeler were over there at William Mary at the time. I loved them. They just Plume Mary Park had just been thrown up.
Yep.
It was prime time. I was so ready to go to William Mary. It was the place for me. I was like, I love this place. My 3.0 grading GPA.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say...
My 1020 SAT was not enough to get me in William & Mary. So that dream got crushed by my grades.
Yeah.
I wasn't a bad student. I just wasn't a William & Mary caliber student. And they had all kinds of resources. Man, it was so cool. They were up and coming.
Yeah.
Colonial Athletic Conference, and they were rolling. They had draft guys here and there, and it all happens for a reason. I mean, then ODU kind of got put on my radar. I was like, okay, well, ODU is going to have to be it. Who was the guy over there at the time? I remember the coach at ODU at the time, but they just waiting. I'm a senior, by the way. I'm a senior. We're playing. We're in my season.
Yeah.
We're April. We're May. Like, am I going to get an offer? Is there going to be a place for me to play? So I'm talking to. I'm over here talking to Virginia Wesleyan. I was like, I'm going to find a place to play. I don't care where I'm going to play. I'm going to find some place to play. So I'm sitting there waiting on ODU. Come on, ODU. Come on. I can play there. Give me a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, just give me a roster spot. Give me something.
Yeah.
Never came. One day out of the blue, Coach Buddy Bolden calls me. May I speak to Brett? Out of the blue. Yeah, this is him. Actually, it was my dad who answered the phone. Yeah. I wasn't home. I like to offer Brett a scholarship. I hadn't talked to him since November. My dad was like, well, he's talking to, he was like, I want to offer him a $4,000 scholarship to play baseball over here at Longwood. And my dad was like, well, he's kind of waiting on ODU. Well, damn, then the offer's off the table.
Oh no!
Can't make that up, Coach. Can't make that up.
Well, it's so Buddy it hurts.
Yeah, so I'm like, my dad calls. Yeah, Buddy called. He wanted to make a $4,000 offer, and I told him you were talking to ODU. He took the offer. I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing? I won't wait on ODU. F them. They're dragging their feet.
Yeah.
So I called Buddy that as soon as my dad calls me. I'm like, Buddy, God, I call Buddy, Coach. This is right when the building caught on fire. So I was like, good for them. I'm burning that place down. It was like, it might have been that day when I called Buddy back. Burn that place down. They took that scholarship away. I was mad at the same time. I was mad at my dad, mad at Buddy.
Yeah.
How could you do that? Not call me for this many months and then you expect me to commit that day on the phone?
Yeah.
I was not happy. Now, Buddy would probably tell you a different story because it was a different perspective. But that was my viewpoint as a teenage boy. But we, I called him back and said, Coach, this is a big misunderstanding. I want to play baseball for you. I want to play at Longwood. I don't want to play anywhere else. I don't care if there's any money in this. Give me a chance to play for you.
Yeah.
He said, Coach, or not Coach. He doesn't call me Coach, but that's what he calls me now. He's like, Brett, let me see what I can do. I'll call you back. So the next day he calls me back. Brett, you there? I'm like, yeah, I'm here, Coach. And he was like, I found you some money. It's not as much as I had before. I gave it to some other kid last night. Gave it to Guillermo Gonzalez. But I found you $3,000, Coach. So, Coach, he didn't call me Coach. Brett, I found you $3,000. So if you want to come to Longwood, we'd love to have you. This is May, middle of May. Yeah. I'm about to graduate in a month. I'm like, Coach, I'm there. Send the paperwork. He sent the paperwork. I signed my paperwork, mailed it in. I was going to Longwood.
Yeah. Well, I just liked how your dad negotiated $1,000 less of scholarship money.
Yeah, he pretty much took money out of his own pocket.
Yeah,
but that's the typical dad move. Dad's going to go to, my dad's a salesman too. Doesn't help his cause much.
Well, yeah, well, he was trying to negotiate. It wasn't really negotiable.
Well, the cool thing is it taught me a really good lesson. It's the same lessons I share with Coppage. He got offered so early. I was like, dude, when you get a good offer, take it. Yeah. Don't wait for the bigger, better deal. It's usually not going to come around.
Yeah.
Go for what you know.
Well, his bigger, better deal was UVA.
Well, that's just what I mean.
I was
like, you're not going to get much better than that, dude. If they're going to offer,
take it.
I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I shared with him that story, and he took it, which was just great that my experience would actually translate later in life to one of my boys.
Yeah.
So I ended up at Longwood.
That's and the rest is
there's a lot more. Yeah, to the story.
I mean, so I guess what I would when you got to Longwood, I mean, you've spent a little bit of time with Buddy. You've seen
Buddy hated me.
Some of it.
At least I thought that was the case.
Yeah, because he's like, I mean, it is
there's no
very well known he does not like freshmen.
Yeah, as an 18-year-old kid, there's no other words to describe that man other than he was a dick.
Yeah, well,
sorry for the language, but that's what he was.
Yeah, I believe Ian Harvey told me that he had a saying, whenever he struck out, why did God invent freshmen?
Yeah. I mean, Coach had some good one-liners. Coach. I mean, he could rattle them off all day, and you learn so much from the man. But I thought he hated me. My earliest memory of him was, him fussing me up and down because he wanted me to bunt. Coach, when I was in high school, I was a power guy.
Yeah.
Two home run power guy. No, but I was an RBI dude. I did not bunt. And in fact, when I did bunt in high school, I bunted a ball right back to my face and had a black eye for 3 weeks because of it. So I was not very good at it, but coach expected me to be able to do it because I could run.
Yeah.
He's like, if you got foot speed, you're going to bunt. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll learn. I was still a baseball guy, so I'm going to learn.
And this is the fall of your freshman year.
This is the fall. Yeah, so I'm sitting there struggling, man. And he's fussing me every day. I'm like, all the freshmen were wearing it. There was not a single freshman that was sitting there, I'm sitting pretty. We were all getting it, but I felt like I got a little bit more than everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, is he doing it because I'm Mexican? I was like, is this guy racist? What's up? But it wasn't that. He just saw something in me that he really wanted to get at. So he pushed me hard. He told me this later. I pushed you harder. I knew you could take it. I knew your mama. Talked to your mom, and I knew she was tough on you, so I could be tough on you, and you could handle it. So the early memory I have with bunting, and this is one of the things that's always stuck with me. I use it for every aspect of my life and every aspect for some of my kids' lives, not even the baseball, but like in the building. I had Coach Bolding, who was a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
We were at an alumni game, and he's throwing BP to his alumni, and they just love it. BP from Coach was like going to heaven. And we had a guy, I think it was Justin Bunch, might have been. Can't remember who it was. And he stopped BP, stopped it in the middle. He's like, Mooney, where are you? I'm hiding in left field shagging. I might have even been doing the bucket, moving that way. He's like, Mooney. I was like, right here, Coach. Mooney, you will never, ever bunt as good as this guy. And in front of everybody that was on my team, in front of all the old time. I'm talking, he used to bring like 40, 50 guys.
Yeah.
Their families. It was one of the more embarrassing moments of my life. And as an 18-year-old kid, I was like, F you. But I had learned through my time with my mom, being hard on me. I was like, F you, but I'm going to F and show you now. Now you've done challenged me. Now I'm going to F and prove you wrong. And I never worked harder at anything in my life than I did on bunting that freshman year. I learned how to bunt, Coach. He motivated me to learn how to bunt because of that moment in life. And I can remember almost the blade of grass I was standing on when he said it. It just really resonated with me. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to prove this man wrong. And I did. I was able to do that, and it wasn't right away. It was not overnight, but it was a process through my freshman year into my sophomore year where bunting was my thing then. I was a bunter. I had the long ball in my pocket when I wanted it, but I had to learn how to be a really good bunter.
You always keep the yard card.
Man, it doesn't hurt anything to swing out your shoes, Coach. Yeah. It doesn't hurt anything for that, but you got to you got to work on bunting the ball at the same spot every single time. That's not easy to do.
So did you play a lot early on in your long
I
career?
did. I slumped a little bit my freshman year. I batted about 275 my freshman year with a lot of at-bats. I'd say I was probably...
So you were an everyday starter out there.
Yeah, they put me in the outfield. I was playing a little bit of right field at the time. DH'd a little bit, but mostly, it was a mainstay in right field. Once again, just still not a very strong outfielder in my mind. That was definitely the weakness of my game. I got the job done. In fact, you hate to make excuses for any mistakes that you made in life. You want to teach everybody there's no excuses ever. Well, I have an excuse for some of my poor outfield play, and I want everybody to hear this. This is a good excuse. I bought an Academia glove going to Longwood. I had a former coach of mine, Kirby Holmes, who was one of my biggest mentors in high school, by the way. I learned a lot from that man. I didn't bring him up when I was in high school, but he was one of the best coaches I ever played for. He played independent ball, black guy, base running games, short, just had a really good mind. Well, he was a rep for Academia. So he's like, I'll get you this glove. I was working at the bike rental. I had $100 laying out. Like, I need a new glove. Let's get it. So I bought it. Well, Coach didn't like the way I broke it in. I had two in the back finger. He's like, what the hell is this, Coach? It's a nice glove. I mean, I had broken down the way you break in an outfield glove. This is no glove. This is a damn toy. They call it Kmart or something, Coach. This glove ain't worth the crap. You ain't using this thing. Throw it away, Coach. You got to use my glove. The man's got a hand the size of a gorilla.
Yeah.
We're talking about a guy who was a pro athlete.
Yeah.
He's a mountain of a man.
Yeah.
So he gets me his glove. I put my hand in there. I can't even get the damn thing on. It was so big, like in the palm. Like it was a 12-inch glove. It was just like broken in all old school, like floppy. And he made me use it. And I couldn't tell you how many balls hit me square in the glove and belt.
So was this the Academa glove?
No, this was his. He got it from,
this was Buddy Bowling's glove.
I think he got it from Wayne Gomes. Like it said Gomes on the side, so I was like, okay, it's cool. Actually, kind of cool because it has a cool Mexican name on it, and I'm Mexican, so that's cool. But he made me use that glove, coach, and I couldn't tell you how many times balls hit me in the pocket and just hopped right out because it wasn't built for the size of my hand. I mean, his hand was like 2 or 3 of mine. So there's my excuse for being a poor outfielder my freshman year. I'm gonna ride that one all the way to my grave. But
so when you did switch to the Academa glove,
I didn't get to. I eventually just bought a new glove so he couldn't bust on it.
Yeah, so
I wouldn't have worked that next summer after my freshman year. I'd use it the whole season. It sucked.
What brand did you end up getting?
I ended up getting a Rawlings gold glove.
Okay.
You can't mess with that.
Kept it standard.
Now it was not the heart of the hide. It was a Rawlings $75, $80. You know, Rawlings outfield glove, trapeze, no big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the special thing about it.
That was it.
It was a gold glove trapeze. Got it. We know.
Deal.
I know exactly what glove you're talking about.
So I rocked that, and and the funny thing was, it didn't matter. If I brought the Academia back my sophomore year, he was like, Coach, this is a wonderful glove. Where'd you get it? We need to get one for everybody, is what he would have said my sophomore year. But as a freshman, it was a piece of crap. He was just messing with me. He was trying to get in my head and piss me off. He knew I was a fiery dude. He was trying to piss me off.
Yeah.
So he knew what he was doing. He was trying to get the best of me, and he got the best of me most days. Like I went back to my dorm many nights, like, the hell am I doing here? How can I play for somebody who hates me? I thought he hated me.
Yeah.
Turns out he loved me. He loved me so much. He just thought the world of me. He told me I was like one of his sons several years later.
Yeah.
He's like, you're the son I never had. He just liked how I was pissing vinegar all the time. He loved that about me. He loved when I threw that bat at that pitcher when he plunked me in the head.
You threw a bat at a pitcher when you got plunked
that was my intention. I held on the bat just a hair too long. I was pulling the barrel across the zone after it hit me in the head, and the barrel toss went down the left field line instead of towards the pitcher where I wanted it to go. It was intentional. He hit me in the head on purpose. I deserved it. Not thinking back.
Can I get a little bit more context on this?
Well, Coach was.
Was this like a big conference matchup? Like what was happening?
This was I think it was my junior year. Coach was a big Brett Mooney fan. Loved and really wanted to see me excel and do well. I think he wanted me to do well so bad that he was telling me pitch location from the third base coaching box. Outside pitch is coming, Brett. Outside pitch is coming, and I was like, God, Coach, stop.
So wait, he was in a Division I baseball game.
It was Division II still, I think. At the time.
Oh, was it still?
Yeah, because we were playing Belmont Abbey. Had to be my sophomore year.
Okay. So, but again, in a college baseball game, high level D2 baseball game, this man was screaming the pitch location.
Yeah.
Not even like hiding it.
Outside pitch is coming, Brett. And sure enough, it was outside. It was a ball. I lined up around the dish, so if it was outside, it was outside.
Yeah.
I was like, God bless. I didn't say that. I used other words. I was like, this next ball's going to be in my ear hole.
Yeah.
I knew it. I was like, F. Here it comes. And this guy threw, his name was Jamie Russ.
Yeah.
I can't believe I remember that. Jamie Russ threw like 92. He was the rocket of the CVAC. He was the guy he was the hard thrower of the CVAC. I'm like, God, Coach. You got to pick one guy. Good thing I bought this brand new helmet on my own. I didn't buy the crappy helmet the coach got me. Thank God I probably wouldn't be here today. I probably would have died if I put that piece of crap on my head. I bought myself an ABC, Rawlings. I spent some money on it. But sure enough, he squared me up right in the back of the head, and I was pissed. I just thinking back, I would have had to tip my cap to the guy. Okay, well, I was pissed. So I threw the bat at him.
But it went down left field line.
That was not my intention.
So did you get tossed
Nope.
to the umpire? Umpire
immediately, everybody knew what was happening. Everybody in the ballpark knew exactly what was happening. Everybody knew it was intentional because everybody heard Buddy tell me what pitch was coming before. Well, the guy behind the plate was a big dude. I mean, he was all 6'4", 230 catcher, big dude. I can't remember his name. I should, but he kind of bumped me. Kind of got around me, bumped me, said, "What you gonna do, big boy?" I remember to this day, "What you gonna do, big boy?" And I was all 5'9", 160 pounds, soaking wet. I felt like I was about 6'9" at the moment, but I wasn't. I said, "I'm gonna take my base," and I ran to first base. So, needless to say, that was a little piss and vinegar.
I
was always there.
I get it.
Yeah,
when you said you threw a bat at somebody,
and I didn't get in trouble. They let me have my base. I stayed on first base. In fact, I attempted to steal second base. I think I shut down the steal break. I had a bad steal break because I was so freaking pissed. Got a bad steal break, but shut down that steal break. I I don't even remember how the rest of the game went. We probably lost.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, wow, that's incredible. So just to move it along a little bit, you graduate from Longwood.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got hurt first. I mean, I had a very average. I was a very average player at that point.
When did you get hurt?
Well, I stayed hurt my senior year. I had hamstring issues through my junior year.
And then did you play through them?
Yeah.
How many games did you miss?
My junior year, not many. I played with 2 pulled hamstrings the entire season. I would pull them on on the weekend, rehab them all week. Play during the midweek if I could. I just played with 2 pulled hamstrings. My doubles numbers went down.
Yeah.
My outfield, I did a little bit of DHing.
Yeah.
Still played a little bit of outfield when I could, but it was tough. I mean, I went from being a speed guy to being a not speed guy. I still bunted. I could still put the ball where I wanted to, and that helped my average big time.
Yeah.
But my power numbers were down because of my lack of ability to run. Really lay out a double.
Yeah.
I think back to the end of that junior year, we played at Randolph-Macon, and remember back before they built the fence.
Yeah.
Right center backed up to the football stadium.
Yeah.
My dumb ass went and hit one all the way to the right center gap. Parked it. I mean, it was rolling for days, and I had to leg out a triple with 2 pulled hamstrings. Most miserable experience of my life was trying to run out a triple, and I got to third base. I slid. My leg stopped working at that point. I still remember it to this day. It just wasn't fun.
Yeah.
And I did the hamstrings my junior and the senior year. I fractured my vertebrae. I had the tight hamstrings eventually took a toll. I had a spondylolisthesis in my back. Played for 17 games with it my senior year. It was excruciating pain every swing and miss.
So you ended up missing a majority of your senior year.
My senior year, I was out. I was out. They wouldn't let me play. I would have bunted and walked to first base if they let me. And Coach wanted me to several times. Coach, can you bunt a ball for me right now? I'm not allowed to, Coach. They shut me down. If I was allowed to, I was going to go out there and do it. He asked me several times, "Bro, I need you to go out there and I need you to bunt this ball down third base line. Can you do it for me?" And the trainer said, "No, you cannot." And then they're liable. They're liable for my injury. So, I did not get the opportunity to do that my senior year. My senior year was over, but that's what got me to coaching.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I imagine you spent a lot of time that year watching the game from the dugout and, being a senior.
And I was a head captain. I was a 2-year captain.
Yeah, and being one of, being Buddy's boy at that point.
Yep, I was a head captain.
I imagine you were the
year.
Unpaid assistant that year.
Yeah, and that's kind of what really got the ball rolling for me. I knew I was going to coach. That's what I was going to do. That's why I went to Longwood I went to go be a PE teacher and be a coach. But it really got it jump started. The injury moved me from head captain to student coach. And coach just he really did feel for me. He knew that this just kind of broke my spirit, broke my heart, if you will. Everybody has their day where they're done playing. Yeah. But he felt horrible. He let me go out there and coach. He let me coach third base as a player slash coach. He said, we were VMI. Big, we didn't play many Division I games back then.
Yeah.
He's like, Brett, you got it today. Go out there and coach third base. I was like, wow, that's something coach never gave up before. I've never seen him not in the third base coaching box. For him to do that said a lot about how much he really did love me.
Yeah.
And
well, he trusted you too.
Yeah, I was the epitome of Longwood baseball because I bought in completely. I knew the maxims. I knew the core values. I knew every single angle, of Longwood baseball there was to know. I studied it. I was a student of it. I was an ambassador for it. Buddy had some crazy stuff going on. Let's be real. There's some stuff that was way outside the box, stuff that was way far-fetched, especially in that time. We were talking about how hitting the ball the other way, letting it travel. Yeah. Coach was like, no, you always hit the ball out front. I believe that to this day.
Yeah.
Now I don't care what anybody says. You still hit the ball out front. The party's out front. So, I bought into everything he said, no matter how far-fetched and weird it was. That's the way we were going to do it. And I preached that to every kid that came through as a leader. And that's where we went. I mean, it was as simple as that. So.
Yeah, and when you were out there, when you were coaching, well, I guess player coaching at this point, I mean, Buddy was extremely successful. I mean, what were probably after, as you were graduating, what was like the biggest thing while you were at Longwood that you really took away from Buddy that you were like, wow, that's like
Well, I wish I could. He wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And it was a long book. It's thicker than the Bible.
Yeah.
But the thing I really took away from my time there at Longwood was prepping the program for that Division I transition.
Yeah.
My class was the one that was the martyr, if you will. Like we jumped on the grenade for Longwood. We were D2. We were in a conference. They said we're going to transition Division I. We did it, which was cool. We had to play some really cool places. We had to play at South Carolina, open up for them. We played some really cool Division I places, but it meant nothing.
Yeah.
It meant nothing. There was no postseason chance. We were not in a conference. We were not eligible for any postseason play. We were playing for nothing. We were playing for our culture. And those were some big-time culture years. And what we had to do is we had to keep on pushing the traditions that we built at Longwood for so many years and just push that into the Division I world. And Guillermo Gonzalez, Robert Gillis, those of us who made it through a lot of the years at Longwood, we never got to partake in the real Division I experience. We got to play in some Division I places, but we never got to be in a conference. We never got to have that level of competition. We're like, hey, it's conference time. We're in conference. Yeah. It's time to put up or shut up. We were playing midweek games that were a joke. We were playing. Our midweek schedule was our weekend schedule was a joke. Our weekday schedule was much more competitive because we were playing higher level teams midweek.
Yeah.
Our weekends were.
Who were y'all playing on the weekends?
Coppin State,
St. Peter's,
Elizabeth City State, St. Peter's. We would guarantee teams down. Come on, their first series we bring St. Peter's down every year to open up the year. We even brought down. We brought down some really tough time, like teams that first time on the field was coming down to play with us.
Yeah, Delaware State, Coppin State.
Yep.
Played a big MEAC schedule.
Yes, and we would have competed right away in the MEAC if we had gone that direction, but we didn't. But when the Big South came in, I was gone.
Yeah.
I was gone. So by my time, we had that was a really big thing for me.
And I'm sure it was tough on you too because you committed there, and y'all were a Division II powerhouse.
Yeah, I mean we were a solid 500 team. We were the favorites in the CVAC ever. It was kind of us against the CVAC a lot of times because we were the only Virginia school. It was really the CAC. It was never meant to be the.
Well, it's the Conference Carolinas now.
Yes, because it used to be the Virginia. We were the Virginia reason that I had a V in the name. We were the Carolina Virginia Athletic Conference, and they just got rid of the V. So
and that was like Mount Olive.
Oh yeah, and they were the we were the redheaded stepchild in the conference. The umpires were against us. I mean, you'd think that sounds like no way. No, they didn't like us. And it was mostly because we were a bunch of we.
You were a bunch of buddy disciples that would scream out
we yelled
location.
We yelled what we wanted to yell when we wanted to yell it. Coach did not really put his thumb on us when it came to that.
Yeah.
I think he kind of liked the fire that we had.
Yeah.
So if an umpire missed a call, we'd let him know. If a guy on the other team was being whatever, we let him know.
Yeah.
We were ready to talk the game and play the game hard too. So they didn't like us, which is fine. I kind of like that a little bit. I like being the guy that wasn't liked.
So that takes you into college graduation.
Yeah.
And then you moved on to Salem.
Yeah, well, before that, I stayed on board my fifth year. I had to student teach.
Okay.
So I went to go student teach in Nottoway County. I was still at Longwood.
Yeah.
I ended up living with the assistant coach at the time, Rick Blank.
Yeah.
I rented a room from him, and they kept me on to work with them in the fall when I wasn't student teaching. So I got to work with the team in the fall. I did the strength and conditioning program in the fall for the whole program. Great experience. I learned most everything I knew at that point from a guy named Scott Pickens. He was ended up being a bullpen catcher for the Detroit Tigers. He left us to go do that, which was a dream job. Man, that sounds like a cool deal. But he taught me a lot of what I know at the next level with the weight room stuff. Scott Pickens, he'll never hear this, but Scott Pickens was the man. He was good at what he did. He was very good. And I stayed on board, pretty much took his program and kept it going with those guys.
Yes.
And then got through the winter, into the spring, and then we started our season in February. I got about a month into it, and then Coach Zell calls me up, hey, we're letting the teacher go over here at Salem. Do you want a job? I was a volunteer coach, and Buddy said bye.
Yeah.
Buddy was like, get on with your life. We'll be fine without you. Go on.
Yeah.
It ate me up 10 ways to Sunday. I did not want to leave that place, but I had to get on with my life. So I ended up at Salem with Pete Zell again.
Yeah.
Here we go, back to where I grew up, and there was a really cool environment coaching there because at that point I was removed from Salem for 4 years.
Yeah.
And, I become this, almost, I don't want to say legend, but like the one everybody told stories about.
Yeah.
And now here he is coaching with us. The kids just looked at me like I was some kind of like, oh my God, that's Brett Mooney,
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like a celebrity or anything, but it was really cool to get their respect just by walking through the gate. And that was the easiest coaching I ever did.
Yeah.
Because they just soaked it up. Everything I said was pure gold to them. And it was not near as much as what I know now. It was very basic stuff.
Yeah.
But they just listened. And it really brought that program an opportunity to learn a few more things.
Well, and at that point you were in all Tidewater or whatever, all whatever Virginia Pilot thing y'all had down there.
Yeah, they had me in the newspaper. I took my special picture that was in the newspaper. I had a flag fly on the flagpole with my name on it. Yeah. And it was really cool. Coach made it really special for them, and he boosted me. He boosted me up pretty good, and I didn't need that. I never want the attention. I hate the attention, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I was never a big attention guy, but when it came to coaching, it allowed me to have a little bit of credibility right out of the gate.
Nice.
And so I was the JV coach for 4 years. I mean, and we played JV games on Thursdays.
Yeah.
So I was able to coach with the varsity team on Fridays.
Yeah.
And that was really neat. So we played Mondays and Thursdays, and they played Tuesdays and Fridays.
Well, and I know that from my experiences coaching, I love it when JV and varsity mismatch, so I can be at both.
It was the best thing ever. It sucked. It really sucked when it came to having to run a JV practice during a varsity game because they didn't get a practice. I was like, all right, guys, indoor facility, don't kill each other. I got a game to coach. Bye.
Yeah.
Come back when you're done. Go ahead. It was very the priority was definitely varsity. They pulled me over. I was not coaching JV on a varsity game day.
Yeah.
There was no practice that day, and that means we never practiced because we were, Wednesday was the only practice time.
Absolutely.
So it was a weird balance, but really cool system, really cool setup.
Yeah.
I got to be at every varsity game, and that was a good experience for me to get ready to coach some high school baseball. And Coach Zell, Coach DiMartini, my God, talk about Coach Zell is the smartest high school baseball coach on the East Coast. I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah.
At least. I mean, the man knows how to win high school baseball games, and you hear me say it all the time. We're coaching the high school game. We're not coaching the big league game. We're not coaching the college game.
Absolutely.
He, got me on that track, and he is the best at coaching it. He has it figured out.
Like what were some of the things that he would do?
Man, he didn't have any talent, first of all.
Yeah.
None. I'm talking like no talent. And he would win games because he just pissed people off. Small ball them to dead bunt and looking for, working bunt defenses, slashing. I mean, hit and run. He pulled out all the stops.
Yeah.
And we were we didn't win much, but we won games, when we did win them because we were scrappy as hell. And it was I give most of the credit to Coach Zell. It was not what we were doing. It was him moving the pieces.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of where I came from. So when you see me kind of moving the pieces and trying to push this thing along, it's because I learned that from the best.
Yeah.
And I'm nowhere near his level. Nowhere near it.
Yeah.
That's how good he is.
Wow.
Yeah, he's good.
That's pretty impressive.
Yes.
So what? I mean, how successful were y'all at Salem? I know you said y'all didn't have very much talent. Would y'all?
No, we were never very good. Just didn't have the talent.
Y'all played in the Beach District or whatever, and
very competitive.
Yeah. A
lot
of good teams down there.
Yeah, and we had some good ball players come and go, but nothing really to write home about and talk about too much. I mean, they were just very average kids that just were good kids. We had a lot of good kids.
And they would just buy it.
They bought in, and they didn't have a choice because that's how we were going to play because we didn't have any other way to play. We had guys that were, I think about a guy named Jake Lambeth. I mean, he was a keep around the program guy just because he was a nice kid.
Yeah.
He was the kid with, he bought his batting gloves at Walmart, and they looked like they came from Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
And he come in there, and he played, he was in the program for 4 years, but he was on the team.
Yeah.
His senior year he comes out, the kid ended up hitting 400.
Oh, wow.
But he just stayed in the, just plugged away and learned how to do it. He was going off of guys that were, D1 guys, and he was going out there. He hit a home run off of a guy that had every college in Virginia scouting that game, pro scouts at that game. He went up there his first at bat in the 7-hole.
It took him deep.
It took him yard. Jake Lambeth, he was the nerdiest dude. I love the kid to death. Nerdiest dude, glasses. Probably had a 4.8 GPA.
Full on math side kid.
Full on. I mean, math side through and through. Nerdy, goofy. And he just parked one first, and just like with me, he rode that senior wave all the way to the end of his senior year. He was nothing talented to look at, but he just believed in himself.
He just worked really hard and figured it out.
Really cool. Really
That's
cool.
awesome.
So that was what we had at Salem. It was nothing special.
Yeah.
And then, I get the call one day, I'm sitting there doing my thing, not really looking about getting a head varsity job anywhere. Just when it came. I got a call from Coach Bolton. Coach, I'm getting ready to retire. You want to come up here and coach at Longwood? I was like, I got a pretty good thing. I'm full-time. I'm the head JV coach. I'm starting to look at head jobs around the city. I'm getting some credibility with doing my lessons and stuff. Let me talk about it. Let me talk about it with my bosses. Let me talk about it with Pete. Let me talk about it with my principal. And I coached for my principal's. Principal's son was on my travel ball team that I was coaching. He told me to leave. Bye. Get out of here. You're young. Go do it now. Best advice. Go. Education will always be here. You have a degree. You will always have a fallback job whenever you need it.
Yeah.
He said, go. So I did. And I ended up at Longwood. I coached there for 3 years.
As a paid assistant this time.
Paid assistant, full time. I was the number one assistant recruiting coordinator under Coach Boulding. And he was, quote unquote, grooming me to take the job. He let me do the job. I did it all.
Yeah.
He did a lot of the budgeting, the finance part, because that's one part you can't screw up on. So he had to kind of take that on. But he let me go out there and buy what we needed to buy. I made all the equipment orders, all the contracts, all the, he had me paying guarantees and
you did a lot of the recruiting,
scheduling, recruiting. Yeah. I did the entire job.
Yeah.
Even on campus. I was working the campus. I was a politician on the campus. I was throwing hats out to the guys. I remember Pinky Baldwin always would hook us up with keys. He was the key maker.
Yeah.
He always got a fresh hat whenever he hooked us up with a key.
Oh yeah.
So we took care of him. Karen Schinnebeck over there in the transportation. She was the person who she was the red from Shaw Shake Redemption. She took care of us. So I did the entire job for 3 years, and then I realized this is not the job for me. It's not going to be my bread and butter. This is going to be a very unstable position with Coach Boulding, who's here for 30-some years. Here I am trying to take it as a 20-some-year-old guy. They're going to give me a year. If I don't win, they're going to boot me. And me and Coach were having some issues at the time. We were having some issues with our recruiting philosophies.
Yeah, well, and at this time for Longwood, had they gotten into the Big South yet?
No,
or
we were still independent D1.
Yeah.
So it was a very tough time to recruit. It sucked. There was other words that would describe it. It sucked.
Well, yeah. Well, and I just imagine, like you were saying, like knowing that, because at this point, because I know they were independent for much longer than any team usually transitioning is.
Yeah.
They were on probably like their 5th and 6th years of being independent, right?
Yep. And
which means didn't look like there was an end in sight.
No, and really that was the hardest recruiting piece. You had to convince kids to come play for us with no guarantee of being in a conference, knowing that there was no guarantee of a postseason, knowing that there was really nothing to play for other than play the schedule.
Yeah.
And unless we were winning 40 games, we weren't getting a large bid.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was a tough pill to swallow, but I kind of saw the writing on the wall. Coach and I were having some recruiting philosophy issues. I was bringing a certain type of guy in. He wanted me bringing a different type of guy in. I wasn't able to get that type of guy. I couldn't, and this is an excuse. I couldn't get that blue chipper. I couldn't get that top level D1 guy because they're going to UVA. They're going to VCU. They're even going to Radford. They just got a brand new stadium. They're going to Blooming Mary, play at Blooming Mary Park.
Well, yeah. Well, I can win a Big South title or a CAA title, A10 title.
All these can be considered excuses, but I was having a hard time. So I was recruiting the kid that was a little more blue collar, the kid that was sliding under the radar, the kid that was missing maybe one tool, like a kid that was, maybe just not ready yet, but he's going to be a player. That was the guy I was bringing to try to recruit, and I ended up leaving there with one of my last guys, CJ Roth. I put my job on the line for that kid. I put my entire job on the line. I was like, you know what, this is my last guy, Coach. I'm done. But you put this guy in the program, and let's see what he does. Let's see how wrong I was. He did. The kid ended up having a phenomenal career along with. He's all 5'6". He's all of just a little fireball guy, just the kind of guy that Coach liked before we went D1. And CJ Roth went out there, and he had a career for himself. He went out there, played second base, whole career, bulldogged it. The kind of guy that we liked it long before we went Division I. And I think Coach Boulding and I talked about it later, and we knew that we disagreed, but in the end, I took what I learned from him and applied it to the recruiting. But we were holding ourselves to a higher standard that we could not hold.
Yeah, well, and I think that's a lot of institutional issue there because I mean, if you're really going to compete at the D1 level, you need a few of those blue chip guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But the problem was you're not in a conference, so if we're going to cut around the edges, you got to get get guys that'll run through a wall and buy in.
And those were the guys I was getting. I was not getting the next level guy, and if I missed on a guy, I was working as hard as I could with a limited budget. Now, these are all excuses. I don't like using excuses for this, but it was not an easy job. It was a tough job, and I think I was getting a little bit beat up at the same time too, because I was working so hard and not really having a return on it. And I would do it for 1,000 years if you'd let me. But where I was in my life, I was a single male in Farmville, Virginia, at the age of 23, 20. Well, actually, I was probably older than that now. I was probably like 25, 26.
Yeah. And how was the team success on the field?
Very average. We were a 500 team, but we were playing crap. We were playing. I'd say it like that. It sounds like we were just. It was a same kind of midweek challenging schedule. But we were throwing our aces at them.
Yeah, well,
we were throwing our number 1 and number 2 midweek, and then we were playing our weaker competition on the weekends. And it was not. It was what we had to do in the time. That was the best recipe for us.
Yeah.
To put any wins in the win column. Because we weren't going to be able to go out there and get a full schedule of top tier guys. Our RPI was never anything to write home about.
Well, but I mean, this is the thing is y'all were doing what you had to do. Longwood in the same situation right now was a single digit win team last year.
Yeah, but we were winning games.
Schedule
the way it was. So it in the end it helped us. We could at least say we were sitting on near a 500. Record. I mean, that was something we had to be able to hang our head on.
Yeah.
If we didn't have that, we had nothing. So Coach Boulding is a genius in that respect, because if we had gone out there and challenged ourselves with a crazy schedule, worried about our RPI, which meant nothing to us being independent. Let's be real. It meant absolutely nothing than ego. Yeah. We really needed that winning schedule just for recruiting purposes and get guys in the program. I mean, we were able to get that next level guy, the guy that was just going to be good his junior, senior year. Yeah. But he was going to take on the chin a little bit his freshman, sophomore year. Sometimes he figured out as a sophomore. Yeah. But he was going to work hard. That was my guy. So I got out. I was like, you know what, Coach, I'm done. When we couldn't agree to disagree. It was just disagree at that point. Yeah. So he was the boss. Yeah. He was the head coach. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and make a move out of here, Coach. Yeah. This was a great experience. I played for you, Coach for you. The problem is, that he admitted to later with me is he worked with me like he coached with me. He coached me hard. Yeah. He worked me hard. And he had the same kind of mentality. And I was okay with it. I could handle it. But when we got to that third year, it was a head bunning. We were not getting along on all cylinders. Yeah. It was not a cohesive thing. It was time for me to get back to the high school game. Yeah. And so then that leads us to Clover Hill. Mm-hmm. How did we get to Clover Hill? I was scrambling for a job. Like when I left Longwood, I was like, okay, I'm out. November is when I made my decision. Like I'm out. Wow. I'm out. So I got really strong. I went in the weight room every day. I was pumping them weights, and that was helping too. I was trying to groom the next guy, Coach McCullough, to do what I was trying to do, and he was ready to do it. I'm like, all right, well, you know what you're signing up for. We had a lot of talk. We became pretty good buddies in this respect, and unfortunately, what happened to McCullough was exactly what I forecasted. 1 year, shit canned him. So I feel bad for him in that respect, but I kind of saw it coming. I tried to warm it, and he gave it a good effort. He just didn't have the right pieces and he didn't have the right support. Yeah. But when I got out, it was time for me to go, and so I did a lot of lifting, got really strong. Had the key to the weight room, so I did that. And then springtime came around. I was probably having the most fun as a coach I ever had. I was out there. I was coaching, but I was like one of the guys again. I was out there. I was a player's coach. I ran out of F's to give. But I was at the same time, I was still holding them accountable to what Coach was saying. I was still on Coach's side. Me and Coach might have had our disagreements, but that was still the only baseball I knew. I wasn't trying to coach him against Coach Boulding.
So this is your quote unquote lame duck kind of. You were on the way out.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm going to come out with a bang. And I got those guys motivated about the weight room. Yeah. We were meatheads in all the sense of the word.
Yeah.
We would come back from a trip, get home on a bus at 11 o'clock at night, and we would, I'd go over to Eiler Gym.
Yeah.
And like, let's go get a pump, guys. And I had 3 or 4 guys come with me. Hell yeah, this is awesome,
Yeah.
So I was like one of the guys again, and it was fun for me because the most fun I had in baseball because the pressure was off.
Yeah.
And I was going out there coaching Division I baseball
Yeah.
without a care on my shoulder, preaching what I think is right with what was on the same page as Coach Bolton.
Yeah.
So cool experience. And then I was like, I got to go get a job. I was going to be unemployed in the summer, so I moved in with my wife. Now is my wife? She lived in Henrico. Didn't have a job. I had some savings built up to a point where I could survive.
Yeah.
But she let me live with her, quote unquote rent free. She had a good job for the time being until I could get a job. And I once again just lived in the weight room.
Yeah. Just
I got straight
going
ripped,
to the gym.
jacked. That was all. I'd spend there 3-4 hours in the gym just going to town. Fun times. And then I was seriously looking for a job. I met Dr. Marks at a job fair my last year there at Longwood, right around that same time I knew I was done. And she was able to reach out to me later in that summer and say, hey, we got a job for you. You want it? I'm like, yeah, I need a job.
Yeah.
I'll take it. And I got it. So here I am at Clover Hill. I walk in. I'm like, I was ready to be done with baseball. Yeah. At that point, I'm like, I don't think I have any more left in me. The game had beat me up to the point where I'm like, I'm out. I'm done. Yeah. And if baseball's not part of my life, so be it. I'm just going to teach, make money, and just,
well, you had so much stress at your previous gig at Longwood.
I wanted so...
Especially on the recruiting side of things and all that. You had put so much
man-hours. And I wanted so much
it.
to be good for Coach. I wanted to be the guy who took over his program. I wanted to be that guy so bad. I was probably the guy who wanted it the most. Yeah. And to know that I disappointed him with not meeting up to his standards was crushing to me. I mean, I did everything in life to kind of be his guy. Yeah. And for me not to be able to live up to that standard was tough on me. And that beat me up pretty good. But I think, in the long run, I think we were kind of matched up. We were kind of on the same page. He just didn't know it at the time. He had, like we talked about, expectations. He wanted me to exceed those expectations, and it was not an easy world for it to happen. Yeah. So, coming to Clover Hill was the best thing ever happened to me, though. Yeah. I found a home here. Absolutely. I grew some roots here. My first year was like that first year I had at Salem. Yeah. I came in and they were in there like they didn't know who Brett Mooney was. Yeah. And that was kind of an advantage. But they knew that I was a guy who coached at a high level. Yeah. I had some things to bring to. I had Pete Zell's high school baseball knowledge in my bank. I had Coach Boulding's old school red ass intensity. Well, on the other side.
I mean, you were a high school coach that had just coached at a college.
Yep, and I was an assistant coach. Yeah. So I didn't have that off button. It was on full blast, full time. Yeah. And I just brought another level of energy to this program, and the guys just fed off of it. Yep. They jumped on board with me, and really we haven't stopped since.
Yeah. Well, did you coach JV that year, or were you varsity assistant?
Straight to varsity assistant. I didn't want to go down to JV. I feel like my services, my knowledge, my energy would be better served at the varsity level. Yeah. So reluctantly, I think we were scrambling for a JV coach. I think that's how O'Hare got back into it. Yeah. Because O'Hare, it was like, Ziglock was like, I'll do it if O'Hare does it. So they ended up coaching JV together, and that allowed me to be down there. Oh, nice. Or up there with the varsity group. So they jumped on the grenade for me without even knowing me and letting me do it. And then the rest is history. Those guys have been behind me since day one. That proves it right there. So to be able to take that program the next year as the head coach, it was hit the ground running just like we did the year I was the assistant coach. Nothing changed. It was let's do exactly what we did the last year. Only difference is I'm in the third base coaching box. That's the only difference. Yeah. So the rest is history, man.
Yeah, and then
I'm here. 7 years later, you guys know the rest of the story.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about that ad nauseum. Yeah. And now looking back at it, you talked about Buddy a lot. Mm-hmm. You talked about many of your other coaches. What was the biggest influence? Well,
I would say there are three things. There are probably 3 things, 4 things really that really got me going. I mentioned Coach Tenhove. Yeah. He really helped me have that confidence to go back there and start playing the game again when I was hurt, when I was 14. He was the number one reason. Yeah. Coach Zell believed in me when I didn't even know if I could believe in myself. I was, but he kept on throwing me in that damn lineup. Not an easy thing to do when you're a coach trying to win baseball games.
Especially with a sophomore that you hadn't even seen him play before.
Yeah.
That was the crazy thing about that.
And then 3, really, it was a, take it to my parents who let my brother play all this travel ball. But they spent thousands and thousands of dollars on his travel ball experience. I got surgery.
Yeah.
So I was taking it to my parents in a loving way. Like, oh, let me show you guys the mistake y'all made. Let me go out there and watch me. So my parents pushing me. My mom was always tough on me.
Yeah.
She made me tough. My dad was a great baseball mind, kind of like your dad.
Yeah.
He's always been there for me through everything. So really, they had a lot to do with it. And then finally, Buddy, who just, he was the best. He was the best role model you could possibly ask for if you could buy in and you could like him. If you could like Buddy, if you could find a way to like Buddy, you were going to learn a whole lot about
the game of baseball. If you could make passes your freshman year.
If you could survive his freshman year. Because, listen, this is the truth of the matter. I came in with a class of, I think, 10, 11. Yeah. We finished up 2. We finished with 2. And that second guy was Robert Gillis, and even he was at his breaking point at the end. Yeah. So, I might have been the only one that made it, and he was from Canada. He had to be here. He had to make it work. And he was at his breaking point. He got beat up to the point where he was just about done, just like I was when I was coaching. Yeah. So he can beat you up even when you're his guy. So really tough guy to play for, coach for, but one of the best people you'll ever be around in the game of baseball. He got it on another level that few of us could ever understand.
Yeah, well, and that's crazy because I know Brant Jones and Chris Briere and some other guys that have gone through Brent McGeegan that went through Longwood and it's amazing how many of them say that same thing that he was it was tough our first couple years, but once you got there you realize he loved you like a son and you're not the only one to have said that. And it's just it's very it shows why Longwood was Longwood baseball was so stable for the 30 years he was there.
He won 750 games.
Well, I think he won titles at every level except for Division I, and he got them there.
And that was his end goal was to get us there. He wrote this damn book. This damn book was his life, and I'll bring it and show it to you one day, and hopefully share it with the guys a little bit too. But it's a pretty cool story of his life in baseball. I'd love to have him on a podcast for my guys to hear about him. I'd love for my guys to meet him.
Well, he legitimately did the college baseball odyssey.
Yeah.
Like he's the Homer of
He started that program at Longwood when it just started having men in the program. Yeah. He built that field.
Men in the school.
He built the entire field by himself. Like he built it, and he got to live that whole life and. It's just really cool to be able to play for him and be a guy that made it. Yeah. Be a guy that made it with him. And he'll go through his dying days, probably the mentor in my life that I learned so much from. And a lot of my personality was shaped because of him. I had a little bit going into him.
Absolutely.
But he really let me be me, and he really was the man. So, tip my cap to him and all those people. Tenhove, Zell, my parents, and him. They really taught me a lot of things along the way. And,
And I guess the last thing before we go, what's one thing about coaching that for anyone coming up you would give them advice on?
Well, bottom line is you gotta be confident in what you're putting out there, but that being said, you got to be educated in what you're putting out there. You got to be convicted on what you're going out there. And you got to have something to stand on. Yeah. The guys aren't going to listen to you unless you truly believe it yourself, and you got to know what you're talking about, and it's got to eventually show out there. But really, as far as coaching goes, you have to know that what you're getting yourself into in coaching. It's not a glamorous thing. It's a very abused thing. We're very abused people. We take it from every angle, but you have to be tough enough to be able to handle it and be able to stand your ground and be your own person. There's nobody that governs you as a coach. Yeah. You are your own governing body. You do it your way. Yeah. It's a dictatorship when it comes down to it. It's not a democracy. You can have your things, take some advice from people, and grow, but you cannot deviate from what you believe as a head coach. You can take input, but you got to find a way to make it your own. Yeah. Because that leadership piece is paramount. You can't show weakness.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Coach.
That's it.
And with that said, we've gotten here to the end.
Dude,
it's been quite
an hour and a half.
Yeah, hour and a half, and it's
Sorry,
all good stuff.
I apologize, guys. Like that,
Yeah.
we said half an hour going into this.
Yeah, and
but I've never got to tell my story, Coach. This is the first time I've told my story.
Yeah, and that's in total what it is. And, and I got to tell you, just from my time being here at, Clover Hill and, comparing it to, again, I've seen a lot of different varsity coaches on my own.
4 and 5, or 5 and 4 years.
Yeah. And again, I don't think the kids realize how much of a blessing it is. One, to have a guy that's so committed to them and the continuity and wanting to, really Clover Hill as a whole entire community, the support you put in for our community as you were a PE teacher, then administrator, back to a PE coach, and now you've been coaching baseball here for 8 years, and again, you're one of the best coaches in this region. Probably one of the best coaches in the state, and I can't speak for anything outside of that. But I can tell you, you're right up there with the baseball minds that I've been around, and I like to think I've been around a lot of good ones, and you're awesome. And probably the biggest thing that I've taken away from your coaching style that's really helped mine is, it's okay to show your emotions and let yourself show a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that I was really hesitant of in my previous high school gig at Monacan, that I got so burnt on being myself, on, letting my emotions go and really, telling you how I feel sometimes, that coming here was refreshing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, the coach can still be the guy.
Yeah.
Like, it can still be something where the coach is the one in charge, and everybody follows. And if we work towards that one goal that the coach set, we can make it happen. So,
little consistency goes a long way, and kids need that.
Absolutely,
they need it, and that's their teenage minds, man.
Consistency and structure.
Hey, give it to them, man. That's our jobs. That's our job as coaches. Give them that, and push them a little bit.
Yeah. So, with that being said, that is the Pitching to Content biography of Brett Mooney. Thank you for your time, and we'll go ahead and sign off.